Gotmark76 this week, 1990.
And welcome to another exciting edition of Gotmark76 this week. We have a great show lined up for you today as the original Four Horsemen start things off. They are taking on the team of Agent Steele, Lee Scott, and George South. And Arn Anderson has reunited with Tully Blanchard and Ole Anderson. And don't look now, but 3/4 of the original Four Horsemen are back together. And I have it on good authority that Sting and Ric Flair have had conversations privately behind closed doors, as Sting is curious where his allegiance lies in all of this Four Horsemen reuniting. And Ric Flair has sworn up and down that he has Sting's best intentions in mind. We, of course, will see Ric Flair tonight in our main event. He will take on Wild Bill Irwin. Oh, and a clothesline up and over the top rope goes George South by Ole Anderson, who knocks down Lee Scott and the Horsemen, just dominating this match. Now, again, the Four Horsemen, the original Four Horsemen, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Nature Boy Ric Flair. You, of course, have Sting and Ric Flair as another member or group of the Four Horsemen. I mean, right now, the Horsemen could be either group. As Ole makes a tag, and here comes Arn, the enforcer, AA Arn Anderson, the World Television Champion, with a double suplex on George South. Lex Luger will also be on today's show. He's also a former member of the Four Horsemen. This has gotten somewhat out of control. The Four Horsemen running roughshod here in the NWA and World Championship Wrestling, but there are two versions of the Four Horsemen. As Tully Blanchard with a backbreaker on George South. And this match has been all Four Horsemen, as Tully throws South into the turnbuckle hard and a big right hand for good measure. Charges and catches George South and rubs his face in the mat for good measure. Elbow drop to the back of the head, and Tully Blanchard toying with George South now as Arn makes the tag. And one has to wonder what the future lies for Ric Flair and Sting. They know that they're the Four Horsemen, but this group takes claim to the Four Horsemen. At some point, they will meet in the ring, and it will favor this version, as they obviously have three members. And the tag, and here comes Lee Scott, who's taken down with a clothesline by AA and a knee to the face. Very interesting to see where this will go in the upcoming weeks. As Ric Flair and Sting, and don't forget, Sting finds himself in a very serious feud with Lex Luger, who took out his friend Eddie Gilbert just a couple weeks ago. And into the ropes, and Lee Scott's back is hurting him into a spine buster. And that's going to be all. The referee goes for the count 1, 2, and 3. And your winners, the original Four Horsemen of Tully Blanchard, Arn, and Ole Anderson, here on World Championship Wrestling. And we are being told that Tully Blanchard has words for Nature Boy Ric Flair, so after these highlights, we will go to the interview stage, and Tully Blanchard has words for Ric Flair. Fans, don't go away. We'll be right back. And welcome back to World Championship Wrestling. Tully Blanchard with strong words for Ric Flair, saying make a decision to join the original Horsemen or one will be made for you. But in the same token, he wants Ric Flair to get back to where Ric Flair was, and that's the World Heavyweight Champion, who his friend Sting and current Four Horsemen member has that World Heavyweight title. What a story this is playing out to be between these two versions of the Four Horsemen, as Lex Luger in the ring with AC Otto, and a big right hand smash by Luger and another forearm takes AC Otto down. And Lex Luger with an abdominal stretch on AC Otto. And down on the mat as Luger shoves Otto to the mat. And Lex Luger last week pile driving Sting on top of a steel chair. Then of course hitting Sting with a chair, hitting the referee with a chair. Lex Luger has been fined by World Championship Wrestling $10,000. But Lex Luger, being the US Heavyweight Champion, doesn't even feel that fine as he's setting up AC Otto. Could it be the torture rack? He has him lined up, picks him up on the shoulders, and Luger has AC Otto in the torture rack. Otto has nowhere to go and has to tap out. Your winner, the US Heavyweight Champion, the total package, Lex Luger. And Lex Luger, I don't think last week was his intention to beat Sting. I think he wanted to either hurt him, take him out, or get to the point where Sting demanded a world title match. But there he is, your winner, and I'm sure one day coming to an arena near you will be Lex Luger versus Sting. Fans, don't go away. Buzz Sawyer's in action next. We'll be right back. And welcome back to World Championship Wrestling as Sullivan Slaughterhouse is at ringside as Buzz Sawyer takes on Ranger Ross. And Buzz Sawyer with an elbow has Ross into the turnbuckle, throws him down. Buzz Sawyer climbing that second turnbuckle, has Ranger Ross lined up with a fist from the second turnbuckle. Sullivan Slaughterhouse, of course, based on wrestlers who want to hurt people. It was just last week when Kevin Sullivan took on his former partner and liege, Mike Rotundo, the Varsity Club. Well, Captain Mike Rotunda is now a boat captain. Still a Captain Mike, but he is a boat captain as Norman the Lunatic of all people has come to the aid and friendship of Captain Mike Rotunda. Again, Buzz Sawyer with a fist drop off the second turnbuckle. Goes for the cover. Ranger Ross down one, and you are not going to pin Ranger Ross that way. So Norman the Lunatic, Captain Mike Rotundo find themselves in a 3-on-2, actually a 4-on-2. Bam Bam Bigelow is also a member of Sullivan Slaughterhouse. He is currently touring in Japan. But Kevin Sullivan has informed World Championship Wrestling that he will be bringing the contract of Bam Bam Bigelow over to the United States and exclusively here in World Championship Wrestling. So 4 members of Sullivan Slaughterhouse to take on Norman the Lunatic and Captain Mike Rotunda. So they are looking for aid in their feud with Sullivan Slaughterhouse as Ranger Ross coming back with a beautiful drop kick picks up Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer and another drop kick off the ropes, and Ranger Ross in control, looking to put the Mad Dog away, goes for the cover. Referee out of position, counts 1, 2, and 3. No, a kick out at the last second by Buzz Sawyer. And Ranger Ross having words with the official, but he needs to stay on top of Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. Look at Sullivan as Ranger Ross slams down the face of Buzz Sawyer to the mat, lines him up, drops a knee across the chest. And Ranger Ross looking like he has this match well in hand, but you can never count out the veteran that is Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer as Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan look on. And Ranger Ross going for a suplex, reverse into a neckbreaker by Buzz Sawyer. Beautiful, beautiful maneuver on the part of the Mad Dog. Picks up Ranger Ross. And a backbreaker down goes Ranger Ross. And now Mad Dog going to his second home on that top turnbuckle. He leaps and nails a splash off the top rope. The referee counts 1, 2, and 3. And your winner, the Mad Dog, Buzz Sawyer, here on World Championship Wrestling. And here are some highlights from earlier in the contest. Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, with not one but two fist drops off the second turnbuckle, did not put away Ranger Ross that time. Ranger Ross made quite the comeback, nailing a series of drop kicks. But it was Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, with that splash off the top rope to get the 1, 2, 3. And Sullivan Slaughterhouse on a bit of a hot streak here as they take on the random tag team of Mike Rotunda and Norman the Lunatic. And that, of course, coming to an arena near you. Fans, our main event is next as Nature Boy Ric Flair takes on Wild Bull Urban. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. And welcome back to World Championship Wrestling as Nature Boy Ric Flair takes on Wild Bill Urban. A big right hand by Urban and followed up by a kick by Ric Flair. We obviously heard from Tully Blanchard earlier this evening. He wants Ric Flair to rejoin the original Four Horsemen. But Nature Boy Ric Flair has been avoiding Tully Blanchard, so obviously he's been avoiding Tully Blanchard on screen, but also it appears backstage as well. We are going to try and get a word with Ric Flair at the conclusion of this match to hear what Flair has to say. I guess he's addressed this situation in his own way. First, it began with Woman trying to lure the Four Horsemen into having her manage them. Then, when Ric Flair ignored Woman, Tully Blanchard came back. And now it appears that Ric Flair is ignoring Tully Blanchard, and as we heard Blanchard say, it's starting to offend Tully Blanchard. So Tully's not the kind of person who takes things lightly. He obviously wants Ric Flair to be that fourth member of the original Horsemen, but something tells me that if Ric Flair does not address this situation, that Tully Blanchard could take matters into his own hands. And they have the numbers. Even if they don't have four, there's three of them and only Ric Flair and Sting. And of course, don't forget there's the underlying issue that Ric Flair lost the world title to Sting, is due a rematch against Sting. That match coming to an arena near you. But I have to wonder that maybe Ric Flair's starting to let this get to him, and maybe Ric Flair, maybe Tully's right, maybe Ric Flair is not focusing on regaining that World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe Tully Blanchard thinks that Ric Flair is getting soft, and he's trying to get the Ric Flair of old. But this current version of Ric Flair has been nothing but a stand-up competitor, a stand-up guy, a somewhat of a role model. I mean, he's won and lost the World Heavyweight Championship. He's defended it against any and all comers. And he said back in January when it was announced that Sting would be the number one contender, that regardless of who won, that the title would stay within the Horsemen, and Ric Flair has stayed true to that. And let's be honest, those of us who've known Ric Flair for a long time kind of thought that maybe that wasn't going to go in that direction. I mean, maybe we thought that Ric Flair of old would have taken Woman up on her offer to take out Sting, or maybe would have taken up Tully Blanchard's offer to reform the original Four Horsemen. But Ric Flair finds himself at odds between the original Horsemen and this current version. As Ric Flair takes Wild Bill Urban down, going for the figure 4 leg lock. It's locked in, but Wild Bill Irwin, known for having leg strength, trying to reverse it. And Bill Irwin trying to, I think Irwin has it. Irwin, using that lower leg strength, turns over Ric Flair, and wow, you don't see that too often. But Wild Bill Irwin gets out of the figure 4 and nails Flair with a forearm, but Flair follows up with an elbow. Inside cradle, Flair has Bill Irwin pins 1, 2, and 3. No, Irwin kicks out. And Flair now going back to work, and one would think that while Wild Bill Irwin is a tough competitor, that Ric Flair's having a little bit more trouble than one would expect. Maybe his mind is preoccupied. Maybe he is thinking about the Four Horsemen situation as he goes for the cover on Wild Bill. 1, 2, and 3. Well, Ric Flair may have been distracted during the course of the match. Does get the victory over Wild Bill Irwin. So I guess all is well that ends well, and here are some highlights from earlier in the contest. But this match basically kind of fell into what Tully Blanchard said earlier. This is not the same focused Ric Flair. And I think to a man, Ric Flair would admit that to you. And we are going to get a word with Ric Flair as he's making his way to the interview stage. He's in the ring right now, but he called for a microphone, and we will hear from the former champ and Horseman member. Fans, we thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to end today's show with the words from Ric Flair. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.